What's going on, Jet fans? Got a couple of injury updates. Dalvin Cook's specifics on his contract are actually pretty interesting. And then former Packers quarterback hints at David Bakhtiari reuniting with Aaron Rodgers in New York. So the Jets lost Javelin Guidry, cornerback for the year on IR, and then subsequently released him to officially sign Dalvin Cook, which they did yesterday. Guidry, I thought he was more than a camp body. I thought his versatility to play nickel corner, outside corner, and be a gunner gave him a shot to be the cornerback five on this team. But now it makes it more likely that Bryce Hall keeps his job, or if he loses it, I think Jimmy Moreland would be the next guy up at cornerback five. Carl Lawson has missed a week and a half with a back injury, and Salah said he's not going to get into what he had done, but this is part of the recovery process. So sounds like Lawson had some sort of medical procedure done to his back. It didn't sound serious like surgery. It sounds like he should be back hopefully by week one. Good news is Carl Lawson hasn't practiced in almost 2 weeks, and nobody really seems to have noticed because of how deep our edge room is. Remember when he went down a couple summers ago, it felt like our whole entire defense went down. With that being said, I think Carl Lawson is kind of being slept on in this edge room, and I'm excited to see him 2 years removed from the Achilles injury. Hopefully, his back is fully healthy because a fully healthy Carl Lawson, when we signed him, in my opinion, was his top 15 edge in the league. No, he didn't have the sack numbers. I get that, but the pressures, the quarterback hits were tops of the league. And I remember watching him in 2020, and a lot of times he had pressures where he would win his rep, but he was the only good defensive lineman on the team. So the quarterback could either step up or roll away from him, and it would be a pressure instead of a sack. Now, the great ones can do it on their own. Okay. He's not Miles Garrett, but I do think him fully healthy, being able to use his full finesse bag of pass rush moves, which he didn't last year. Last year, he was an exclusively a bull rusher, pretty much. We didn't see the speed rip. We didn't see the cross chop. We didn't see the spin moves. He has a whole arsenal that was just not on display. I don't think he trusted the Achilles. Him back in a limited role with the Jets to be really efficient, man, he'll be a killer if we can get him fully healthy. Now, Dalvin Cook's contract, 7 million in base, could go up to 8.6. That 1.6 million in incentives is if he gets over 1,200 rushing yards and the Jets win the Super Bowl. I think we would all collectively pull together that 1.6 million for a Super Bowl there. So that's fine. But this is interesting. It's actually 4 million in total guarantees. And then after that, he's kind of on a weekly contract. So the Jets would be not on the hook for that other 3 million if he was cut. It's guaranteed if he is still on the team or if he's on IR or if he's on the pup list. But if he's not on the team, I think this is honestly a suspension insurance. We know that there were the accusations made to Dalvin Cook. We know that if they're true, he should be suspended and, in my opinion, off the New York Jets. We also know that we saw another player in the NFL released from their team just this season, and it was proven that what they were specifically accused of was not true. So everyone should get their day in court. But I think the Jets are hedging their bets a little bit with that, if I had to guess. Robert Saleh was asked about a looming suspension, and he said that he wasn't worried about it. But we've also seen players get suspended for violating the league code of conduct policy without actually being charged with a crime. So it is something to keep an eye on. And finally, Kyle Becker, former Packers backup quarterback, did insinuate when he was talking to Kay Adams that Bakhtiari and Rodgers love each other, and he thinks that Bakhtiari would like to make his way back with Rodgers in New York. And I actually do think a reunion like this is possible if Aaron Rodgers wants to stay here 3 years and in 2025. They restructured his contract in a way that makes it pretty much untradeable. Now, Aaron Rodgers' contract was the same things were said about that. So the Jets trading for Aaron Rodgers has made me want to never say never to a trade. But I'm looking at his contract and it's 20 million cap hit this year. It's a 40 million cap hit in 2024. If the Packers were to trade him over the next 2 years, they would eat 40 million in dead money and get 23 million in cap savings. So just as a salary dump, it doesn't save them a ton of money. Also, David Bakhtiari is still one of the top two or three left tackles in football, and the Packers are in an evaluation year of their young quarterback. They're just going to part way with their best offensive lineman a month before the season and say, good luck, Jordan Love, when the Packers offense is not necessarily already flush with talent. Furthermore, if they do want to trade David Bakhtiari, are they going to trade him to the effing Jets and help Aaron Rodgers and help Joe Douglas after the whole thing unfolding in the spring? I don't think so. But if he's a free agent in 2025 and Aaron's still here and Dwayne Brown probably isn't, a reunion is possible. But I don't think there's a big savior coming to this offensive line. I think the next big name the Jets add would probably be at the trade deadline. And right now, the offensive line, it's going to be hopefully Mekhi Becton staying healthy, I guess. AVT coming back helping. I do think Dwayne Brown is being slept on a little bit. I think the single biggest improvement that this offensive line will see is when Dwayne Brown comes in for Billy Turner. If the season started right now, Billy Turner would be the single worst starting left tackle in the league. And Dwayne Brown last year was decent, and he had one arm. So him with a patched up shoulder, if he can just be average, we'll take that. Average left tackle play is hard to come by. We have had one ish season of that since Brick retired. It was like a little bit of Fant, a little bit of Dwayne Brown, and a bunch of subpar left tackle play. The one thing I will say about this Jets offensive line, if there's an improvement to be had before the season starts. All right, we talked about Dalton Reisner, James Hurst. I'm still interested in those players. If they're not going to bring anybody who could come in and start, man, I'm looking at Billy Turner, and I hate to keep picking on Billy Turner. Here's the thing about Billy Turner. On a lot of teams, Billy Turner would be a fine, like ninth or 10th offensive lineman who's your emergency tackle, your number 4 tackle, your number 4 guard, and just kind of a versatile backup in the bottom of your offensive line room. That's what his production the last couple of years has shown. But kind of like a team that has a injury plagued or questionable durability with their quarterback, like the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins last 2 years have had the highest paid backup quarterback in the NFL, going from Teddy Bridgewater to Mike White. Why? Because you can pencil Tua Tagovailoa to miss about a month every year. That's what his track record shows, even going back to college. So backup quarterback is more important to the Miami Dolphins because they're more likely to see their backup quarterback on the field. And I would say the same thing is true with the Jets' backup tackles. With Becton not playing in 2.5 years, with Brown being a warrior, but being almost 40 years old and coming off surgery, and he missed a month last year, and Max Mitchell only playing half the season last year. I think that spot is just a more important spot to this Jets roster, and they'd only be on the hook for less than $1 million if he was cut. I'm not trying to call for people's jobs. I'm just saying you can't be afraid to get better. And that is a place where there might be somebody who's even released that could be slightly better than Billy Turner or a mid-level trade to come in here and be a more viable backup. I think at the very least they have to explore that option. I don't think he should be a lock on the team. Even his familiarity with Hackett and Rodgers, I get that. We've done a lot to accommodate people and make them comfortable, but at some point, GM got a GM and quarterback got a quarterback. And it's Joe Douglas's job to protect Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know if Billy Turner being called upon to be even a backup on this team is really doing that. So there it is. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll talk all soon.